Stan Gibilisco here, proprietor and operator of amateur radio station W1GV, Whiskey 1, Good Vibrations. In the upcoming issue of QST, I guess that would be the May 2018 issue, there's a discussion of the ARRL's proposal, that's the ARRL, American Radio Relay League's proposal to expand privileges for the technician class license, which is the entry-level ham radio license class in the United States. Something in me kind of cringes a bit when we talk about license classes, as if ham radio is a stratified art in which we divide ourselves as we would in social strata, looking down upon those below and up upon those above. But nothing could or should be further from the truth. In fact, the technician class license exists as an introduction to ham radio, but you can keep it indefinitely. You don't have to upgrade. There's nothing that forces you to upgrade to a higher class of license. And there's been some discussion over the years. It's been that way ever since I was a radio ham for the first time back in March of 1966, when I had the novice class license. Only we could only operate on HFCW for 1 year with a limited power input, that plate power input of 75 watts, crystal control. After that year expired, it was over, you either had to upgrade to at least a technician class or you had to quit altogether. And you could always come back, but you couldn't get the novice class ever again. They keep changing the structure of ham radio in the United States. Sometimes they talk about maximizing the number of amateur radio operators that exist just so that we have a social presence by sheer force of numbers. They talk about the expertise level of a technician class licensee versus an extra class licensee. Well, for your information, I have an extra class license, the highest class, and I use that word in quotes every time, available. And yet I know less about ham radio in some circles, in some aspects, than the very most elementary level technician class licensee does. Because, to put it quite simply, I am a fuddy-duddy. I know a great deal about a very narrow slice of amateur radio. I always joke that my ultimate goal is that I will know everything about nothing. I'll become the ultimate extra class licensee. But the whole discussion of license classes makes some people cringe. Others, on the think about maximizing our numbers so that we don't go out of existence in this increasingly commercialized society here in the United States. Ham radio operators do what they do, supposedly, for love of the art, not for money. In fact, it's illegal to do ham radio operations for hire. We try to hold ourselves to the highest standards, and at least some of us do, and apparently some of us don't. There's always this infighting or bickering. It seems to be kind of human nature. Nevertheless, they are discussing the possibility of having HF, that's high frequency band, privileges for all modes, all digital modes, and single sideband, so that technician class licensees can get a taste of every aspect of amateur radio can get experience that's as broad as possible. And of course, perhaps that will increase the appeal of amateur radio, thereby increasing the number of people who have ham radio licenses, thereby decreasing the probability that commercialization, like a tsunami of money mongering, will overwhelm amateur radio as it did everything else. Or did it? Did it? Can it? What do you think? Do you think ham radio should have an expanded set of privileges for the technician class license? Personally, I'm not going to offer an opinion here because I haven't given the matter very much thought. Whatever is best for ham radio, that's what I'd like to see. That doesn't necessarily mean more numbers, but it certainly means a greater level of respectful behavior to other amateur radio operators and to other U.S. citizens in general. We serve the public, not vice versa. In disasters, we're there when all other modes of communications fail, even if people don't say thank you, and particularly because we don't get paid. Stan Jabalisco, Whiskey 1, Good Vibration, saying 73, which means best regards, no matter what class of license you have. And so long, which in my particular digital mode, that infinitely narrow slice with infinite knowledge. Da-da-da-da, da-da.